Hello, dear brothers and sisters. I'm recording this video following the request of one of us that at least I highlight the history of the young evangelists. And being that I'm not able to be physically present with you, it was my wish initially to be present with this great team of evangelists and in honor to the work that you are doing for the Lord and the great sacrifice that you are making on behalf of heaven, to do the work which Christ himself would have done and actually is doing in a deeper way. I would have wished to have the honor and the privilege of being part of that celebration that the whole team is having. Can I say, despite the ideological differences spiritually? Um, I would want to highlight the bit of the journey from a personal perspective. I was a student in Rongo University, that is between the year 2011 to 2015. And in my journey as a student, I think I met Christ in a very special way and through the influence of brethren and the people who God used then to identify the gift of the Lord in me. One of them is called Jared Oreto. Another one is called Sister Lucy. Just pardon me, I'm forgetting her second name. They had identified the gifts of the Lord in me, and they wanted really to nurture those particular gifts. And they invited me to a ministry called Revival Time Ministry. So over time, through Revival Time Ministry, Brother Jared Doreto managed to travel to facilitate a session in Europe. And that session was in Amazing Facts Europe. And he was facilitating a session on how to do evangelism in the African context. And while doing that, he made a special request that he would want to have a center called Amazing Facts Center of Evangelism opened here in Kenya. It was a very hard ask because it involved very heavy financial investments and involvement. And through the working of the Lord, I think in vision of what we would become today, there is no investment that God wouldn't make for our sakes. So God used him in a very special way through the investments of AFCO brethren in Europe to acquire a piece of land in Rongo. And I was privileged to be the first cohort that was trained in 2015 at the Amazing Facts Center of Evangelism, also called AFCO Europe Kenya. Actually, that is the accurate name because there are so many AFCOs. There is AFCO America, there is AFCO Philippines, and I believe also there is AFCO Africa as well. That is being done with other brethren. So they operate autonomously. Yeah, so I was privileged to be part of the Amazing Facts Center of Evangelism Europe in 2015. I moved on with that particular work from 2015 as a missionary, 2016. And then in 2017, towards the end of the year, there was a transition in administration. And it ended up that I served as the coordinator of the Amazing Facts Center of Evangelism now from that 2017, 2018. And in 2019 also there was a little bit of transition. I felt that God is speaking to me to shift radically from that particular work that was being done specifically with Amazing Facts Center of Evangelism, because I felt there were things that we were not agreeing when it came to ideologies. Can I say ideologically, spiritually? And I felt I would better serve as a self-sustaining evangelist. Sorry, I would do better in self-sustaining evangelism. So I shifted by the provision of God into doing some work that would basically help me support the work of evangelism. And that one was in 2020 But shortly now, before 2020, through the influence of Maxwell, Eric Ouma, and other brethren who were in the picture then, we got to be introduced with a team that was being nurtured with Brother Maxwell. And these ones were a team of young people. And being that this one is a team of young people, I believe hence the name, Young Evangelists. So some of the initial convenings were comfortably done at Amazing Facts. It was not the only place where the convenings would be done. And through the efforts of one brother, Eric Ouma, I think at some point I was aware with emails in copy that he was soliciting funds to support the work of the Young Evangelists, and this one actually was heavily supported with Reed Von Moore, who is actually the director, who was the director of AFCO Europe. Currently, he's not the director, though the director currently is Joachim Jotland. Their efforts actually have been limited to Europe and Portugal, as far as I know, and they have limited their activities here in Kenya. Yeah. So with that, I wasn't like part of the core team that was involved with amazing. Can I say with the Young Evangelist team? Nevertheless, I was in support of the work that was being done, the missionary work that was being done. And by then, I think I was also concentrating in another ministry that we called the Present Truth Ministry. It began heavily as a music ministry, but later on morphed into not only a music ministry, but it morphed into other forms of ministries. That one includes preaching ministry, teaching ministry, and actually we used to do a lot of teaching ministry. And music ministry now just became a part of the ministry. Yeah, that is the brief history that I have, and I believe somewhere in 2020 there were radical challenges that also, can I say, brought. There were doctrinal differences between what AFCO really stands for and what the Young Evangelists really stand for. As you know that AFCO works, it's a supportive ministry within the church. And actually, in one of the general conference sessions, the work that was being done with AFCO Europe actually featured in the general conference year books then. So it means that AFCO was in perfect doctrinal alignment with the general conference session, and hence some of the beliefs that were being held with the Young Evangelists were not really in harmony with what the General Conference does. This is in specificity with the doctrine of the Godhead and also with the understanding of what education entails. And I remember at some point I was forced to go to the conference, that is Ranen conference, to explain what AFCO really stands for, because there was, from an administrative point of view, I had to do that. So, nevertheless, with that one, I had to go and give them actually the AFCO Europe manual so that they can see this is what AFCO Europe stands for. Hello, brethren. Just a continuation of the previous video. I noticed that when I was sending, because it was too big, the video was never complete. But the other portion of the video that never came, I was just recommending the efforts that have been made so far with brethren like Maxwell and the other leaders to mentor. And I specifically quoted the portion of the scriptures which says that, I believe it should be John 16:13, that howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, shall come, he shall guide you into the truth. So thank you for submission to guidance. Guidance is very important, for we are not born inherently with knowledge. It's something that has to be learned with the power of the Holy Spirit. So subjection to mentorship and to a teacher is something that is very important, because iron sharpens iron. And some of the things that we do in ministry are usually heavily influenced with how we are mentored. So having just a brief understanding of how things have rolled out, and as we are celebrating our being together in the work of the Lord, I wish to wish you a very blessed and a very happy celebration. And may God lead you, bless you, guide you, even in your personal efforts towards this great work. I believe that God will cut the work short in righteousness. Some of us will be in courts of kings, others will be in the countryside, others will be in the cities, others will be in prisons, others will be in formal lines laboring, others will be in informal lines laboring. Where the talents that God has given you place you in, I pray that you may use them for His glory. And even as we continue pursuing whatever God has put in our hearts, actually the Bible calls it eternity, for He has placed eternity in our hearts. Other version says actually He has set the world in our hearts. You know, there is what we call deep calling unto deep. So as deep calls unto deep, God actually is making you find a place in the great cosmos where He has put talents that you may serve in the time that now is. So as you are serving in the place where God has called you to, I wish you all the best. May the Lord really bless your efforts. May He take care of you, and may He also strengthen the ministry. All that I wish to say to you, brethren, is may the peace of the Lord be with each and every one of us, be with you. Shalom, brother, and onward, Christian soldier, marching us to war, with the cross of Jesus going on before. It is Christ the Royal Master who leads against the foe. So, my brothers, forward into battle and see His banners go. Onward, Christian soldiers, and may the peace of the Lord be with you. Shalom.